and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and we're going to talk about the 100 best fantasy novels, or at least the ones that I read. So right now, to kick this off, I'm not sure how many I'm going to read in this video. We'll have to wait and see how long it is, but to kick it off, I'm starting with The Eye of the World. After that, I will be talking about The Return of the King, and so I'm excited. I am starting a new series, and then I will be ending a series. So at least those two will be in this video, and maybe more. We'll see. I will check back in later after I've read some of Eye of the World. Okay, well, I have started The Eye of the World. Could this be any more bland? The cover on here is, anyway, not exciting at all. I, however, am 32% of the way into this book, and I have read for an extra hour tonight because I couldn't put it down. I kept wanting to keep reading to find out what was happening next. It is so good. For some reason, I thought it was going to be complicated or that there would be a lot of characters and I wouldn't be able to keep everybody straight, but it's just a small party of characters and they're traveling on an adventure, and it is so good. And I'm just excited to see what happens next. That's really it. Just a quick little update to say how much I am enjoying this book. And I know that it's long. My audiobook has 30 hours total, and because I'm about a third of the way finished, I'm almost 10 hours in. So yeah, it's just been enjoyable to read, and I can't wait to keep going. Unless something crazy happens in the book, I probably will be back when I finish it. So I will see you then. So I wanted to do a check-in earlier today for Eye of the World when I was at 50%, but now I'm at 61%, but that's fine. I just thought, oh, I'm right at 50%. Let me check in. And then I didn't have time and I wasn't home and I was doing a lot of driving, so I did a lot of listening. And so now here I am halfway through The Eye of the World, and I just wanted to check in. First of all, I am so pleasantly surprised about this book. For some reason in my head, I had Eye of the World and the Malazan series as similar, and I guess it's because people talk about them being long or difficult or something. I don't know why, but I thought Wheel of Time was on par with that, and it's not. Wheel of Time is long, right? So it's a really big book and a really long book, but it's not hard. And I feel like a lot of the Malazan was that it was hard because there's so many characters. And another kind of comparison, I guess, that you can say is in Malazan, they all start out in a bunch of different groups all over the place, and some of them come together and move around. In this book, everybody starts out together and start splitting off, and a few people come in and out here or there, but that core group starts together. And I think the best thing about that is that I learned who everybody is before they separate. And now that they're in these little bitty groups, it's actually a little bit easier for me to know who is who and where they are and all of that stuff. Now, let's talk about the little spoilery things. If you haven't read The Eye of the World, then just skip forward to the next check-in or when I finish the book to talk about that, because I'm just going to talk about a few things that might be considered spoilery. They totally will be spoilers. Okay. First of all, our main character, I guess we can call him, is Rand. And so, first of all, let me say this right now. The names got on my nerves. We have Ran and Lan and Tam. That's too close together, right? You can't have people named so close together like that. But I've been trying to really focus on the names so that I know who is who and who is where. And then we have Matt, which I feel like it's always we have Egwene. I think her name is Egwene, and then we have Matt. We have somebody who has such a difficult name for me to say, and then we have Matt. So anyway, we have these three boys who are all having dreams, and they all might potentially be some kind of important person. And now these evil forces have realized that it's one of these three boys, and I guess, is after them, and he wants to find whichever boy it is and then either bring them to the dark side or destroy them. I'm really not sure what it is that he's trying to do. But then we have this woman who they're calling an Aes Sedai. I really need to get my copy of this book out and look and see how they spell that, because in the audio they're saying Aes Sedai, but I want to see how that's spelled. Anyway, we have her, and then she has this guardian guy who is also a bad guy, or not a bad guy, but everybody seems to think that they're bad guys. And so they're kind of protecting these three boys, but at the same time, people are like, I wouldn't trust them, I wouldn't trust them. And so these boys have to just be so confused around all of these people. So where I am right now, Matt and Rand are by themselves in a city. They've learned that if they play the flute and they juggle, that they can stay in inns and not make some money, but at least earn some food and lodging. So they're on their own doing that in one group. We don't know where Tom the Gleeman is, although I love that the entertainer guy is called a Glee Man. I think that's funny. And then we don't know where he is. I hope that he shows back up because I really liked him. But then we have Perrin, who is with Egwene, and they were with Elias. I forgot his name. Maybe that's his name. He's the Wolfman. They were with him, and now he's separated from the two of them, and they've been captured by the white people. Or I forgot what they're called. The Children of the Light. That's what they're called. And they wear those white robes. The white people. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with them, but they've been captured by them. And then we have the Aes Sedai, who is with the Wisdom. Like, how cool is that? That her name is just the Wisdom. I think I'm going to make my children start calling me the Wisdom. Okay, so they are in one group trying to find the boys and Egwene. It's like she's just there as a tag along. And then Perrin and Egwene have been captured by the Children of the Light, and Matt and Rand are off somewhere by themselves. So we have our little groups, and they're all they're all separated and looking for each other right now. So I can't wait to see what happens next. I am absolutely loving this book, and it's not difficult for me to know who's who and who's where. Now, I don't know where these cities are, and it's not like I'm looking at a map to go, okay, this is where this group is, and this is where this group is. I don't care. They're all going to run into each other at some point. I know this is going to happen, so I'm just waiting for that to happen. So I am going to go keep reading because I am really enjoying this book. 61%, I have 11 and a half hours left on audio, so that's going to take me a couple of days, and I will be back when I have finished The Eye of the World. I feel like as soon as I get settled and I get ready to film, then I have to deal with airplanes and dogs all the time, constantly. Okay. I finished Eye of the World. The end. I already said that I was surprised by the ease of this book, the ease of understanding. But let's talk about what the book is actually about, and then I'll talk spoilery stuff. Although I don't know that I have a ton of spoilery thoughts, really, but we'll get there. So first of all, ultimately, this book is about three boys that grow up in an outlying village really far away from the center of the kingdom. And the area is called the Two Rivers. It used to be called other things, as we learned through the book. And these boys are being pursued and they don't know why. And ultimately they go on how many times am I going to say ultimately? They go on a journey with friendly and not so friendly people along the way who help them get the answers that they need about why they might be different and why they are being hunted. That is a synopsis of the whole book. The things that I liked about this book. I really like that this book ended. So I kept thinking, like I said, they're on a journey. And so I kept thinking when they get to this part, this book will end. And then the next book will pick up when they're at this part. But no, they completed the journey that they were going on. Now that does not mean that the story is completed. They still have a long way to go to get all of the answers, but we have some of the answers. And part of this is that most of the story is being told by Rand, which there are lots of other people, not just him, but he is primarily our voice. And so we know automatically that he is an important part of the story because we hear from him so much. So I just liked the way this was done. I liked the point of view switches. And I know I just saw a message on Audible where one of the actors from the TV show that was just released is reading the book. But I really liked the one that I listened to, which had a male and female narrator. And I just like the way that happened back and forth. I mean, like I said, it's predominantly Rand, but there are other times when you have other people's points of view. So anyway, I really liked it. I don't know that I have any spoilery things other than just to point out things that are obvious to anybody who's read the book. And so I'm going to check this one off of my 100 Best Fantasy and move on to the next book. I finished Lord of the Rings and I needed to come talk about it. I finished The Return of the King, technically, and the trilogy, The Lord of the Rings. So, first of all, I have some good and bad again. Thankfully we didn't see Tom Bombadil, so that was good. However, I said to my husband later, before I finished the book, I said the worst part is that Gandalf chose to go hang out with Tom Bombadil. When it was all over, Gandalf's like, I'm going to go find Tom Bombadil and he and I are going to chat. And I was like, what is wrong with you, Gandalf? Okay, I'm just kidding and I'll stop being mean to Tom. This book was told a lot like the second book in that we followed Aragorn and all of that group that's with him through all the way to where they got to Mordor, and then we jump over to Frodo and Sam and Gollum and do their journey to kind of Mount Doom and like the end of the whole thing. So we get to see how each perspective is kind of played out by itself. And I kind of like that because there is a discussion in the end of the Aragorn Gandalf section. So I really liked how it showed Aragorn and them talking about Sam and Frodo and wondering if they were alive, like if they had made it this far. They knew they hadn't destroyed the ring, but they were wondering about them. And I think that the way he wrote it, we're with them the whole time. And I think it just adds a little bit to the tension before we go see Sam and Frodo. We know that Sam and Frodo are alive, but they don't know that yet. So I just thought that the point of view switches were done really well. In the second book, when it first happened, I didn't really understand what was going on, and I kept comparing it to the movies. And so I don't think I appreciated it as much as I did in the third book, which I really liked. So that is one more book completed in my fantasy read through, my fantasy list that I'm really loving because, like I said, I'm so new to fantasy that any of these books are going to be books that I've not read before. And so I am really loving my entrance into fantasy through all of these books. So that makes the third book in this video. And so I'm going to end it here and, oh, bless you. Django's going to sneeze about it. I'm going to end it here. Clearly go feed him or take care of whatever his problem is right now. And then I will be reading the next 3 of the fantasy books. So let me know which of these you've read and maybe what your favorite fantasy book is for right now, because not of all time. That's a hard question to answer for a lot of people, but I'm always on the lookout for more fantasy books. So I would love to know what your favorite right now is so I can add it to the thing. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.